how is it going? Thanks for tuning in. I'm Atika Farooqui. This is the perfect place to be at, the perfect time and the perfect opportunity to witness a remarkable time for cinema. Old is moving out and new ideas are taking shape, and we are documenting all of this. I'm Atika Farooqui. This is now showing. Let's start with the highlights. Satya Prem Ki Katha is a hard-hitting subject, served as a rom-com but takes long to come to the point. Huma Qureshi and Ashwiny Iyer Tiwari on their new film Tarla. It's all about food and taste and the human story of it. Congrats to Anil Kapoor for completing 40 years in Hindi cinema. Here is a secret from the man himself. And hit machine Amit Trivedi talks about revisiting golden age of Hindi cinema with JubILEE. Now let's talk about Satya Prem Ki Katha that releases in cinemas this week. A young Gujarati boy can't find a girl to marry. He has no friends but his father, who he shares a drink with. His mother and sister seem to be bossy at home, and the two hen-pegged men are fine making breakfast, mopping the floor and doing nothing professionally. The boy, Satya, finds Kiara, a rich, beautiful girl, extremely alluring and manifests a romance with her. It happens that they get married, but the girl is not on the same page as him. What's the matter here? Director Sameer Vidwans is way ahead of his time and league in terms of imagining a story that's relevant, relatable, pertinent to our young adults and their lives, and yet is camouflaged in such a sugary, beautiful screen tale that you think that you've gotten into that theatre to watch a glossy, fashionable rom-com about two beautiful people, but it's not that simple. Director Sameer talks about the issue of consent. There is a lot more to the storyline that you see, and that can be and must be talked about. But since that's the core of the movie and the producers have by far kept it a secret, I should not spoil it for you. But hey, let me tell you as much that I can and I should. The first 1 hour, the screenplay focuses on developing the protagonists. The boy could not pass his law school. He's just another boy from the neighborhood wanting a girl till the time he actually becomes a real-life hero. And even though he had not finished his degree, he ultimately becomes a champion of the legal rights of girls. The girl here, played by Kiara, is lost, depressed and very reluctant to form the conjugal bond with her husband after marriage. There is a backstory to it. The two people slowly unshackle themselves from the invisible chains of morality thrust upon them by popular culture, family, generational trauma. While the writer and the director make it often excruciatingly painful and slow in the first half, with the same expressions of the lead actor, a prototype of the Gujarati household and the humour that we have often seen before, he goes on to switch gears in the second half, and he makes it into a sharp, taut and a scathing take on the consent of women, bestowed upon them by the legal system in India, but something that they don't know about and not practice at all. Satya Prem Ki Katha is imbibed from Satyapremki Katha, which is incomplete without the woman, and which says that no amount of God worship will help if people cannot help themselves. That's the core of the story too. A special mention of Gajraj Rao and Supriya Pathak. They make such a lovely set of parents here, and their presence enables the writers to explore the many issues that our parents have dealt with before this whole social media revelation exploded. The humanness of a father and the fault lines of relationships are beautifully explored in this movie. Within the contours of popular commercial cinema, writer Karan Shrikant Sharma has drawn lively characters from the middle-class milieu, but they indulge in a lot of posturing before coming to the point. You know, a lot of drama happens before they make their point, and some scenes of self-harm are not shot aesthetically or sensitively, as the portrayal was too crass. But in the end, it all comes together so well that I came out of the screening really happy that a film with this lovely songs and great cinematography by Aaryan and two bankable actors on the box office actually come together to loudly address an issue that's waiting to be discussed. And That's about it. I can't tell you anymore because that will spoil your fun, but I must tell you that you can watch this movie in a theatre near you. And now moving on. Huma Qureshi is one actor who has moved on from worrying about how she looks on screen and is a feisty actor who wants to do meaty roles. Ashwiny Tiwari is a hungry director who explores the hidden. Together, their next is Tarla. Imagine, more than 150 books, 50 years of cooking and a legacy of culinary delights. How will they together bring that one woman, Tarla Dalal, to life on screen, whose books you and I still have on our shelves? Here is a cheerful conversation on a rainy afternoon with the two ladies. Very recently, I watched a film, Ashwini, called The Great Indian Kitchen.
Yes.
And we've all seen our mothers spend their lifetime in a kitchen. And we are probably out in the field or professionally a little successful because somewhere down the line we had taken a decision that maybe that's not what I want to do the whole of my life. Now you as women have a subject in hand which panders to the prevalent ideas of what women are good at doing, what they have done and what they have been most liked for doing. Tarla is a dichotomy. She's a woman who started taking cooking classes back in 1966 maybe. She wrote her first book in 1974 and then subsequently she's written close to more than 150 books. She's all about kitchen. How risky is that zone for a person like you who's produced, directed films like Nilvate Sannata, whether woman, whether she's rich or poor, whichever category or class she comes to, she's a very strong-minded woman. You were this femme fatale in one, and then this Bihar ki aurat in the other, then another project, you were like, wow. So how do you walk this path very carefully so as to not to reinforce the popular myths and yet come out of it as somebody who wants to have a different take on that?
I think our job as storytellers, whether you're a director, producer, whatever names we give ourselves, at the end of the day, we are all creators trying to tell a story.
Yeah.
And I think it's very, very important that we change our storytelling with the changing dynamics of a society. And most of our stories reflect the kind of stories we say. If you want to say, have something in our storytelling which inspires, aspires a nation across the world, it is important that we stay uprooted with what is happening in society, but always make sure that we give a positive angle to it. Why are biopics made? Biopics are made is because there was someone who did something really good, or therefore you want to make their biopic, or they have done something really bad and people want to know why they were like that.
Right, like the underworld and the...
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So biopics are for two reasons. In Tarla ji's case, it was basically like exactly what you said, that you literally turned around the idea of cooking.
So how much do I get to see the food and how much do I get to see the story of Tarla?
Of course, there are food shots.
Yeah.
But you want to shoot it like MasterChef.
Okay.
The idea is not to have like shots of food coming in, whatever.
Right.
जो हमारे घर पे जो खाना बनता है, जो माँ बनाती है, उसका presentation नहीं होता है. जब वो खाते हो ना, तो दुनिया का वो best खाना होता है.
That's true.
So through, I think the way he wanted to shoot it and the staging of the scene, the idea was कि आपको वो खाने का flavor, वो sense, वो warmth, वो comfort मिले. It may not necessarily be presented कि वो slow mo मतलब चौका पड़ रहा है और कुछ हो रहा है. So that was not the idea. So the food is looking good. It's looking very satiating. But the lensing is slightly different. Also, you mentioned Great Indian Kitchen. It's interesting because the same DOP also shot our film.
What are you saying?
Sallu Thomas.
Yeah, Sallu shot it.
And I think when Piyush approached him, the Piyush was a bit like he's just made a film which is actually about keeping a woman, a prisoner almost in the kitchen. And now this is another film where a woman was told कि आपका दायरा ये है, and how she cooked herself out of it by knowing her skills. There's a scene in the film where she keeps standing on the kitchen window and keeps looking outside.
Oh.
You know, and how she sees the world sort of passing her by over the years. And then she decides to start, okay, this is my skill, this is what I know, and I'm going to cook myself out of it. And he's captured that so beautifully.
Now that I'm shooting with you, Huma, you're an actor. You're in the business of entertainment. looking good, and which also sometimes panders to pleasing people. What made you take that leap over where you thought that my work has to be about my expressions and what I bring to the table and not just what I look? When did that happen?
COVID was a big mindset shift for me, because I went through this whole personal thought, because you're all the time in the world, be like, कि मैं क्या कर रही हूँ, मैं who am I, what am I actually here to do, and you actually realize, okay, this, what is the body of work that you want to leave behind,
right?
And I think that is a time, and a lot of things happened, first Maharani happened, because when that script came to me, I was a bit like, it's a big risk, it's too much of a leap, what if it doesn't work, that fear is always there. Both Nitish sir and Ashwiny ma'am, they saw Maharani, and I think that was one of the first calls I got to do Tarla. So I feel it's just a domino effect, and post once you decide to take that first step. And I think now I look back, I'm like, why was I even second guessing myself too much?
I feel that the director has more confidence in the actor than the actor themselves. For me, one day, one call, I'm going a little away, but this trading on what you're saying is that Pankaj called me one day before the shoot and said he's not coming to Agra. And I was like, sir, why you don't want to come? And he said that, listen, throughout my life, I've only done films जहाँ पे मैं बाइक में जा रहा हूँ, मैंने काला चश्मा पहना है और मैंने बंदूक निकाला है बाहर, और मैंने इतनी डार्क फिल्में की है, इतने हेवी फिल्में की है कि मुझे पता ही नहीं कि ये वाला मैं कैसे कर पाऊंगा, और वो भी कॉमेडी, मैं पता नहीं मैं कर पाऊंगा कि नहीं. So I said, sir, do you have trust in me? So nice. He said, yes, of course I have trust in you, but I don't have trust in myself. I said, so okay sir, I'm giving you time till tonight. टिकट तो कभी भी कैंसिल कर सकते हैं, मेरी शूट थोड़ी पुश हो जाएगी, पर ठीक है. You think of that one person in your life who you think you can imbibe as a role as a teacher, and comedy wise में. And 2 hours later he called me and he told me, I have thought of it, I know who I need to be like. It was his teacher who was an army teacher kind of thing, but had a little bit of that bites. And next day in the morning he comes and the first shot is him walking in the alley of the school.
Now Tarla Dalal's story, I still have that book. I still have Tarla Dalal's books at home.
We all do. When I saw myself on the cover of that book, it was such a surreal moment for me, because I remember that same maroon sari and that book my mother had, and I saw it 1,000 times as a child. So I was like, oh my god, did I manifest this? I'm on the cover of that book.
There are some saris we actually got from Tarla Dalal ji's daughter.
They have 3 children, by the way.
Yes, so we met them.
We met all of them, but the daughter actually sent us a lot of saris of hers, which I think she wore also one or two saris.
I wore her sari. In fact, the light blue saris in the trailer as well. That Tarla ji's actual sari.
How nice.
And her daughter, in fact, that day came to meet us on set. And she saw me in the sari and she was like, you're playing my mother. And I'm like, yes, ma'am. I don't know.
And most important thing, Huma comes from a family of restaurateurs. She has been in the business of taste for generations. This is familiar territory for you.
Very, very. I think, it's homecoming. In fact, my dad saw the trailer and he was like, "Arey, ye kya hai? Batata musallam. Ye hum Salim se bana ke, we should sell it." So I said, Dad, I'd love it, because I think my dad also started selling in 1977.
Really?
So
same time.
Around the same time as I think Tarla ji was there. So we're going to complete 50 years soon. And of course, they both are very different cuisines. One is hardcore, Mughlai, non-vegetarian. Tarla ji was all about pleasures of, vegetarian cooking. And she introduced so many new things to the Indian market. But I still feel like, I don't know, there's some connection. I know there is.
Of course, yeah.
But ultimately, it's food.
That's what I've learned.
Whether it is vegetarian or non-vegetarian. It's food.
This I've learned. Not just that. I feel khana is a it's a unifying factor.
Moving on, Anil Kapoor completes 40 years in cinema. Kudos and congrats. He says his best is yet to come. I agree. I loved him in Ishwar and Virasat and so many films where this massy actor fits so well in classy and niche films too. So here is he telling the secret of his success in this old chat show.
जब आदमी नया रहता है, फ्रेश रहता है, तो वो कुछ भी करता है तो अच्छा लगता है, क्योंकि आपको लोगों ने देखा नहीं है ज़्यादा, आपके एक्सप्रेशन को नहीं देखा, आपकी आवाज़ को पहली बार सुन रहे हैं, 1 बार 2 बार 5 साल 10 साल 15 साल, फिर भी ठीक लगता है, 20 साल, अभी 25 साल हो गए, फिर 35 साल हो गए, फिर 40 साल हो गए, फिर भी आपको वो मैजिक लाना, तो उसमें आपको थोड़ा और ज़्यादा सोचना पड़ता है, ज़्यादा मेहनत करनी पड़ती है, ज़्यादा कुछ करना पड़ता है कि यार मैं इसको अलग कैसे करूँ कि लोगों को ये नहीं लगे कि मैंने उस फिल्म में किया,
बिल्कुल,
या मैजिक में कैसे लाऊं, तो बड़ा तिगड़म हो जाता है, वो बड़ा प्रॉब्लम होता है। तो कभी कभी बोलते हैं क्यों, वाई आर यू फिल्म ही कर रहे हो कुछ, यू नो, जैसे मेरी वाइफ बोलती है कि स्पीलबर्ग की फिल्म कर रहा है तू
इतना पढ़ रहा है,
इतना तू सोच रहा है। मैंने बोला इसलिए मैं सोच रहा हूँ कि मैं इसको अलग कैसे करूँ।
आपको उन्स आज की तारीख में सबसे ज्यादा किससे है?
अपने आप से। मुझे लगता है बहुत ज़रूरी है कि आदमी जब अपने आप से जब तक इश्क नहीं करेगा, अपना ख्याल नहीं रखेगा, अपने आप को वक्त नहीं देगा, तो वो दूसरों का कैसे ख्याल रख सकता है। वो अपने आप से इश्क करेगा, अपना ख्याल रखेगा, तो उसके बाद उतनी ताकत आ जाती है, उतनी हिम्मत आ जाती है, उतना ठहराव आ जाता है कि फिर वो दूसरों का ख्याल रख सकता है।
वाह।
आदमी कमज़ोर रहेगा मेंटली और फिजिकली, तो दूसरों का क्या ख्याल रखेगा।
आपके फादर साहब तो मुगल आजम में असिस्टेंट थे, तो ये शौक तो जाहिर है आप में आया होगा।
नहीं, मेरे फादर तो मेरे ख्याल से पापा अपना होता ना कि वो हिंदी पढ़ ही नहीं सकते थे, उर्दू ही पढ़ते थे, और पेशावर से थे, उर्दू लिखते भी थे। इश्क जब तक नहीं कर चुके रुसवा, आदमी काम का नहीं होता।
वाह 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 वाह। इश्क जब तक न कर चुके रुसवा,
आदमी काम का नहीं होता। सही बोला मैंने?
बहुत अच्छा।
क्या बात है? मैं दोबारा बोलूं फिर? इश्क जब तक नहीं कर चुके रुसवा, आदमी काम का नहीं होता।
क्या बात।
कॉन्फिडेंस बढ़ गया मेरा। मेरे के तीसरे चौथे टेक में मैं गर्म होता हूँ।
कोई समझे तो एक बात कहूँ, कोई समझे तो मैं एक बात कहूँ, इश्क तौफीक है, गुनाह नहीं।
कुछ आसान नहीं है इश्क करना, कुछ आसान नहीं है इश्क करना, ये जिंदगी भर का रत जगह है।
वाह वाह। आज सुबह मैं YouTube पे आपका और अनिल जी का एक वीडियो देख रही थी जिसमें आप उनको वो गाना सुना रही थी, दुनिया के रखवाले। अंदाज फिल्म का।
ओह माय गॉड।
अच्छा, आई डोंट।
अच्छा, अंदाज भी हमने की थी। अब मैं भूल ही जाती कौन सी फिल्म।
कुछ हमारी फिल्में ऐसी हैं जिसमें मेरे को एल्जाइमा हो गया है, वो हम लोग ब्लैंक आउट कर देते हैं।
एक्चुअली आपको कुछ बताओ, मैं जब भी इनसे पूछती हूँ कि ये फिल्म, इनको इन लोगों को याद ही नहीं है, इतनी सारी फिल्म्स की है, they don't remember half the film.
No, actually they don't want to remember.
मुझे सब फिल्में याद है, और कुछ फिल्में मैं प्रिटेंड करता हूँ मुझे याद
मुझे नहीं, वही तो। How many years do you go back together आप दोनों?
28 साल।
कहाँ मिले थे आप दोनों?
बेनाम बादशाह को हो गए मेरे ख्याल से 28 साल हो गए शायद।
कहाँ थे आप जब एक लड़की को देखा तो ऐसा लगा?
गुड़गांव में था, ऑफ कोर्स आई वाज अ किड एज वेल। विजुअल, उसके जो गाने के विजुअल्स थे वो मेरे दिमाग में आज तक हैं, जब वो अपने बेड पे फुल एनर्जी के साथ गाना गा रहे हैं, तकिया फाड़ रहे हैं, फिर वो एक बहुत ही उनकी प्रोमिनेंट कैप थी जिसके साथ वो घंटी बजाते हुए जा रहे हैं, एंड मनीषा मैम लुकिंग गॉर्जियस इन दोस अर्ली मॉर्निंग शॉट्स।
Time for a short break on the show. When we come back, we have composer Amit Trivedi talking about all things musical. Stay tuned. And haven't we all loved that song by him? कोई कैसे उन्हें ये समझाए, सजनिया के मन में अभी इनकार है, ना 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 ना. This is one of the most beautiful songs of this year. Absolutely, hands down. So the man himself on the other side of the break. Don't go away. Welcome back to Now Showing. I'm Atika Farooqui. Music composer Amit Trivedi, who has delivered two of the finest soundtracks in recent times with Qala and JubILEE, says he was very happy and surprised by audiences' response to his songs like Ghode Pe Sawar and Wo Tere Mere Ishq Ka. He spoke to my colleague Vishal Chatkara about the references he had of the old songs while creating music for the hit Amazon series JubILEE, and why Bollywood music needs an upgrade. And I love that song from JubILEE. बाबूजी भोले भाले दुनिया फरेबी है जी, तू भी थोड़ा टेढ़ा होले दुनिया जलेबी है. It was so beautiful and reminded everyone of O.P. Iyer and S.D. Burman and the beautiful music of that time. So this man actually has the knack of recreating old world music. Yes.
बिखरने का मुझको शौक है बड़ा, बिखरने का मुझको शौक है बड़ा, समेटेगा मुझको तू बता जरा,
Amit Trivedi, welcome to CNN News 18. Amit, rarely we come across a soundtrack which sounds very different, and most of the time it turns out to be by Amit Trivedi. Then what was the starting point for you for Qala, and how you immersed yourself in that world?
Well, both Qala and JubILEE were incidentally set in the same era. It kind of made it very easy for me because I usually prefer going out somewhere. So we end up going to Goa. So me, Anvita Dutt, Vikram Motwane, the director of Qala and JubILEE. Together. We all were there. Yeah, we kind of... I started off with Vikram's JubILEE, started off with that, finished his album, and then we moved on to Qala. And I was listening to a lot of 40s, 50s music. Hemant Kumar, Guru Dutt, Mukesh, KL Sehgal, Rafi Saab.
Would you please like to talk to us about, briefly maybe, about creating songs like Sare Ke Sare Akele, which of course is a tribute to Guru Dutt's Ye Duniya Mil Bhi Jaye To Kya Hai.
So these were the references that were in mind. So we said we'll play homage, play tribute to these songs. If there is a Shola Jo Bhadke or Babuji Dheere Chalna, and if that's the... How would... If Sri Ram Chandra had to reimagine, or Naushad Sahib had to reimagine this situation back then, how would they think and create something like that? So that was the psychology that I went with. I created my own parallel world, which is yet not that but still it has its own identity. Even Ramaya Vastavaya we had for
Darya Cha
Raja.
Yeah.
But I had to create my own world.
Then please give us Dil Jahan Se Le Chala in your voice. And what brief Vikram gave you for this song?
Brief. This was your... मैं जिंदगी का साथ निभाता चला गया हर फिक्र को तो दिल जहाँ पे ले चला. It's in that spirit. दिल जहाँ पे ले चला हम वहीं पे चल दिए हमने छोड़ दी सनम हर फिक्र कल के लिए हर फिक्र कल के लिए हाँ जी.
Amit, you were the big disruptor. You debuted in 2008 with your film Amir, and then you kept outdoing yourself. Do you think today Bollywood music needs an upgrade?
We need brave, very bold producers and labels who are ready to experiment, who are ready to let the artist be, who are ready to let the artist fly the way he wants to without the norms of commerce, commercial, janta, mass, Farana, Bandra, Juhu, a lot of these things. I just heard some really good Amir Khan say something which Ajay released. PVR's owner just told me that pehle Saraswati aati hai, uske baad Lakshmi. But what has happened when Lakshmi takes over and there's very little gap for Saraswati.
Amit, you also do a lot of indie music. And today's generation is not just listening to Bollywood songs, but they're also hooked to indie music. Would you please like to talk to us about the pulse of today's generation and what is it that appeals them the most when it comes to music?
I think, yeah, this is a great, beautiful change that I've been seeing post-pandemic. I think that what happened in pandemic, there was no films and there was nothing coming out as such. So people wanted to consume sitting at home. So that's why they discovered a lot of independent artists. A lot of indie stuff. And that's where exactly, luckily for me, it was a tough one, but luckily for me, I launched my label exactly at the same time. And for me, it was a big challenge. Should I reverse it? Should I go back? Should I not do it? Or should I do it? Because nobody knew where it was heading. It was a crazy time, 2020. But I kept going and I saw the results now. I see the results now. I have some amazing, good numbers as well. Moti Virana has done exceptionally well. 2 days back only I saw it was played at White House where Joe Biden and Narendra Modi sahab were there. They were dancing at White House in America. They were dancing on Moti Virana. That was a proud moment for me. That's my independence.
Yes.
And that made us the entire team, my family, my friends, everyone very proud and happy. Kemadi rum jum karti aavi, kemadi rum jum karti aavi. आनंद उत्सव ने गरबानी रमझट साथे लावी मोती वेराणा चौक मा आव्या अंबे मा चौक मा जगमग था आव्या अंबे मा हे मोती वेराणा चौक मा आव्या अंबे मा चौक मा जगमग था आव्या अंबे मा.
And we've come to the end of this show. Next episode, we have Kajol for you. She speaks fluently on life, and then after that, the next is a lovely series called Kohura, a true blue real tale from Punjab, and a lot more. Remember, I'm someone who loves people who stick it out no matter what, and who believe in the power of good cinema and good content. If you're one of them, we are allies. Cheers to the rising quality of content, and hail those who never give up. I'm Atika Farooqui saying goodbye. You take good care of yourself.